So I was just about to start servicing this and I thought I'd make a quick video in case anybody does it. Most people don't. This is one of the things that I always do. You know, when I build these convertibles, I take them completely apart, and I mean completely apart, in thousands of pieces, and you know, sandblast the whole car and start from scratch. And I'm gonna start making a bunch more videos to help people out. But whether you're doing all that or not, as I put things back together, a lot of stuff gets replaced, and then a lot of stuff just gets serviced and cleaned up. This is a part that pretty much very rarely goes bad. Sometimes they'll get out of adjustment. Sometimes they'll slip a little bit, and I've never seen the gears wear out. I've heard about it, but they're metal gears and it was pretty well built, so that's not a very likely thing either. If they seem to be a little bit loose, one quick adjustment that you can make is on the back here. Let me see if I can find the camera. There it is. On the top or the back, however you want to look at it, there's a little flathead screw here. You can tighten that down, and that will tighten up your flat panel and maybe cause it to sag a little less. So I'm going to show you real quick. Once you take this off of the car, it's pretty simple to get loose. Just hold those screws on the back. You probably don't have to use a wrench. They usually kind of come apart on their own. The other three are threaded into the housing itself. And again, this is a video that's probably not going to be really popular or useful to a whole lot of people, because these rarely go bad. But for the guy who is having a problem, this would be a pretty valuable video maybe. So that's all I'm trying to do here. So once this comes off, this separates here. You can see the gears. It's a metal gear down in there, turned by this worm gear. They're all pretty tough, and like I said, they hardly ever go bad. So you can see that. You can see how this would turn, and then this worm gear turns from another gear in here and another worm gear. It's a little bit of a complicated way they made it, but you know, that was Lincoln for back in the day. So like I was mentioning, this screw here that you can turn, what that does, you can see in here, maybe, there you go, you can see where the worm gear lines up. So as you tighten that, it changes the position of that worm gear, and it kind of makes it run a little tighter or a little more loose. What I typically do as far as servicing these, like I said, this is something that nobody ever does, but this is why my cars, you know, not to sound conceited or anything, but they work, and they work for a long time, and people don't have any issues with them. And so that's what everybody's looking for on these things, is reliability, especially for the convertibles. So if you, little things like this, man, every moving part on the car, anything that moves, especially things that have gears and things like this, you need to pack them full of grease, clean them up. So what I'll do, I might video it, I might not, it's pretty basic. I clean all the old grease off, I clean everything up real good with brake clean, carburetor clean, whatever I got around, clean all this gunk out of here, and then I just repack it. Sometimes I just use whatever I have. I don't think you have to be crazy with it. I have like the Lucas grease in my grease gun. Sometimes I'll use that to really squeeze it down in there. Sometimes I just use this cheap stuff from Walmart. It's still the red stuff. It's a pretty good grease. And like I said, this is, you know, these are all metal gears and stuff, and they're probably not gonna have any problems. But if you do this, you clean everything up, you pack it all really well, stick it all back together, inspect everything. It's an extra step that takes, you know, a few minutes. I don't know, you might spend a half hour doing this, but it's worth it, you know, in the long run. For one thing, you get to see what you're working with. You know that your gears are okay and stuff. So when you do have, when you do have other problems, you'll know, at least you'll know this part is right. So you can start checking, you know, your torsion bar on your flap, and you know, the number one culprit is going to be the rotary switch, upper back panel limit switch they call it. If you haven't replaced that with one of my 2-button switches, you should. I can tell you guys how to make that switch if you want. but it's a lot more efficient than the whole rotary deal that's on there. And trying to rebuild those, I used to rebuild them. I still do every now and then if I'm doing a car that's 100% original, but for the most part, the button system works better. It's brand new, sealed, waterproof, you know, buttons, and it's going to last for a long time. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. We'll get to that in a different video. Just wanted to show you guys how to disassemble this and just kind of give you, maybe put it in your brain to, you know, do that one weekend, you know, have a couple beers, sit down, take that piece apart and clean it all up, make sure all your gears are good, put a bunch of grease in there. It's preventative maintenance, guys. Like I said, it's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't do, but you know, if you're gonna have these cars and you want it to be reliable, that's what everybody's looking for, a Lincoln that they can take to the car shows. They don't have to worry about their top getting stuck halfway up. So this is something you need to do.